Let's discuss, should we put a new starter or a remanufactured starter on your vehicle, and where should we get it from? Okay, those are the questions that everyone should be asking if you own a vehicle and you need a starter or an alternator. Okay, the reason why it's such a big question is today's market is flooded with very low quality remanufactured starters or alternators from the parts stores. Here at our facility, the only reason we put on a local parts store alternator or starter, Reman that is that we have no other choice, okay? We're gonna get into why that is, okay? So let's start off with the advantages of a new starter. Obviously, if you get a new starter, the long-term durability of that part, we all know it's gonna be new. It should last just as long as the original starter. Say you went 160,000 miles, you expect the same from a new starter, okay? Same thing with an alternator. The longevity of that part is a lot higher from any remanufacturer, okay? So it should have, most time it should have 75% more longevity to. That's longevity to the part itself. So let's say a Reman may get 75, a new one should get at least 150 or more, in my opinion, from what we're seeing, what's out there. So the con is, well, it costs more. Anything new, especially if you got to get from the dealership, it's going to be very expensive compared to a Reman. Not always. There's always a few cases where they're off, 20%. The majority of the time, it's probably be like 50% more. But as a customer, what would you rather have? Something that's proven to last what the original one found out, or a second one? A second opinion would be a Reman one. You may be getting 30 out of it. Hopefully, you're getting up to 50 or 60. But on remanufactured ones, depending on what you get, what manufacturer you choose, you may have a problem right at the box. And that's what we see with the local parts stores, all the big box stores, you know where they are. They all have the same alternator. Don't let them lie to you and say, hey, this one's different. Most likely, they all have the same company they're buying from. There's very few that's out there. There may be a few that has a different manufacturer, but I'm telling you, most of them all go to the same facility. It's the same alternator in that big box store as this big box store. They're all exactly the same. They're all Reman, usually the same facility. The ones off in like China, that's online, that's a different thing. But most of these guys are using B Industries. That's what I'm seeing. And they're usually remanufactured in Mexico. That's where their facility is. The downside to those is if they even work, first of all, and second of all, how long is that going to last, that part? That matters because you usually get 1 to 2 year warranty from a shop that does the repair, okay? Most of them will give you at least 2 years. Well, the alternator, what if it goes out on clockwork every 3 to 4? You're paying for a new alternator and then labor all over again because the part's out of warranty, the labor's out of warranty. That's generally what happens on the aftermarket, the remanufactured box store stuff. If you get it out day one, you're lucky, okay? And then when does it fail? Usually between 30 and 50 is like clockwork on those. They're gonna fail. If it's a Honda, Mercedes, BMW, man, if you get to even work out the box, you're lucky. I mean, a lot of times the battery light will come on and start flashing. It may charge still. There's always some kind of problem it has. Those systems are a little more difficult to reproduce the OE parts on because they're using their own parts, and usually the compatibility is just not there. It's always either a charging problem or a light's on, you name it, it doesn't even work out of the box. And especially with some of these cars that have excessive labor time to do the job, it's not worth it, especially on the cars that have starters underneath the intake, some of the Porsches and stuff like that. Man, if you're not going back with a new starter or at least a Reman OE starter, you're gambling. So what's the pros? The cost. It's less expensive. But the problem with that pro is it could be more expensive if it goes out right after warranty. So sometimes cost isn't really a pro. It seems like it up front, but in reality, it probably isn't. If you're gonna get rid of the car in a year, I get it, that makes sense. Because if you get a year out of it, you're out of it, you send it, it's not your problem no more. But if you're trying to keep the car over a couple years, new, and then a Reman of the manufacturer, okay? And there's different manufacturers like Honda, Toyota, Denso's a pretty high quality remanufactured. Mercedes and Audi and Remember, B&W, a Bosch is a very good quality one. A Vallejo is another good quality one for those for remans. Usually Bosch is the new makes a new for those manufacturers, or Vallejo, depending. Same thing with Nissan. Vallejo is usually the supplier. So, like I said, we don't recommend any box door starter, alternator, if you're going to keep the car long term or more than 2 years. Otherwise, you're just gambling. If you don't have the budget for it, we get it. But like I said, we're going to recommend a new over everything, a new starter, new alternator in every case, because we know it's going to work out of the box and we're not going to have a problem with it. And if you're the customer that, hey, I want something working, no problems, that's what you want. It's going to cost you more, but you pay for what you get. If you want something you can't afford the new, or you can't get the new, go with the factory remanufactured or the brand that remanufactured the alternator for you, like the Bosch, Vallejo, Denso. Those are all acceptable. If you can't get that, you're left with the box doors. I get it. That's what you got. But I want to talk about just different manufacturers. And then Honda here, it's funny because Mitsubishi is the original manufacturer of this starter, and these are on, I think, 2010 up to and up. And these go out like clockwork. This one actually has, this is sad to say, this is 2016, and it hurts me to say it, but it has 58,000 miles on it. It's all it lasted. So it didn't even, it kind of disproves what I said, they go 150. But most Hondas we see 120, 140. So we'll talk about the vehicles that have auto start, auto stop, right? What's going on with those starters? Yes, they're a little more robust, but a lot of people don't know manufacturers actually have a counter attached to starts. When that counter achieves a certain number, it will stop the car from starting. Even though the starter's good, it will stop it. You got to replace starter and reconfigure the starting account number again. So keep that in mind. So you have a Toyota product or something like that, and you have, I think it's like so many starts, 5,000 starts, whatever the number is. If it achieves that 5,000 starts, you ain't starting that car again till you reset that counter. So keep that in mind. The starter might be fine, but the counter's maxed out. That's what they're doing on the new auto start-stop vehicles. They are a little more robust, like they say, that is true, but they put a timer on them. So, and that's what they do to get their money, I guess. To the next one. See ya.